Well, Henry Tyler says I'm hot, so I must be hot. This is Brenda Perryman, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show, right here on TV 33, WHPR, Comcast 20 in Detroit. You can get us on the web at www.tv33whpr.com. You can call us at 868-0342, 868-0351, area code 313. I have a jam-packed, wonderful show today. Wonderful. I'm just so happy. And I have to first make an announcement about something I'm very excited about, and that's the Highland Park Business Association is presenting the Highland Park Music Festival 2013 next Friday, July 13th, through Sunday, July 21st, on the grounds of the historic McGregor Library on Woodward in Highland Park. Performances by Straight Ahead, Yvette Meadows, Phase 5, and introducing the Highland Park Alumni and Community Choir, who will close out the festival on Sunday, July 21st, with a concert at the Healing Springs Baptist Church in Highland Park. Admission is free. For more information, call 313-626-0990. And also, one of the most fabulous disc jockeys around, Vicious Vic, will be spinning. I know this myself. I gave him the name Vicious back in high school a long time ago, but it's a very peaceful festival. Come out and enjoy yourself, see people you haven't seen in a long time. So hopefully everybody can come out to the Highland Park Music Festival. And now I'd like to introduce my first guest, and I have, I guess, an artistic and literary show today. And my first guest is jetting in from New York. She's a playwright who is bound to be one of the most famous playwrights ever. And we're very happy that she was born here in the city of Detroit. Miss Dominique Mariso. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, just great, just great, just great. Now, Dominique is the playwright who wrote Detroit 67, and we'll be getting into that. And a lot of us who were around understand Detroit 67 and what happened in those days. But Dominique, why don't you tell us a little about where you came from, where you were born, where did you go to high school, college, and so forth?
Well, I'm from Detroit. I was born and raised here, and I went to high school at Cass Technical High School. I studied performing arts. I was in the performing arts curriculum there.
Was Miss McCormick?
That's right. Miss McCormick was my teacher and still is. I still, a lot of us still keep in touch with her.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, right. And so actually, and it was Miss McCormick that I think really helped me to understand how to turn this interest of theater into a full-time thing. I was telling someone yesterday that before I went to Cass and before working with her, I did not know that you could actually pursue this as a career. I thought it was a hobby, something that I liked to do, but I didn't actually know that you could go study it in school, you can get your degree in it. And she sort of helped to cultivate that for me and all of her students, really. So I, through that, I ended up going to the University of Michigan and getting my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater Performance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you in any plays up there?
I was, not only was I in plays there, but that's where the playwriting bug bit me. So I went there for acting.
Right.
And while I was at the University of Michigan, I was a little concerned that I wasn't getting, that a lot of the younger black students, there wasn't a lot of black work that was being produced there.
Yes.
On the main stage, the majority of the students, were white students. And so the work was kind of reflecting that experience a lot. And I ended up wanting to write my own piece just to put myself and some of the other girls who weren't getting as many role offers, put us in our own show.
Absolutely.
And that's what ended up happening.
Absolutely.
And that bug bit me, and it's I've never betrayed that since then. It's been like the path I've been on.
Now,
you know.
what year were you at Michigan?
I graduated Michigan in 2000, and I wrote my first play and got my first play produced in '99. So
Good for you.
yeah, it was part of the MLK symposium actually at Michigan that my play
Really?
ended up being a part of, and they have a student-run theater in
Right.
the theater department, so they allow us to really explore our own voices, and that was great.
That is wonderful that you can see you go from that page to stage.
Yeah.
And you say, wow, this does work. I can do this. And this gives you even more impetus to go further, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what happened?
Well, after that, I actually taught in Highland Park for a year.
Did you?
I was the drama teacher at Henry Ford Academy.
Wow, I used to be the drama teacher at Highland Park High School.
It was incredible. I loved working there, but I had made it very clear when I went into teaching there that I was only going to be there for a year. I was saving all of my money so I could move to New York.
Right.
And all of my students knew it. Everybody knew that Miss M's leaving at the end of this year, But while I was there, I started a drama club, and I got to exercise in my craft. It was fun.
Well, would you tell our audience the value of theater in the schools?
I mean, I could talk all day about that, but what I recognized when I was doing it in Highland Park was how much value and worth it gave the students. And what I think people often underestimate about the arts in education is how much it actually assists the academics. I think people think that it is like some sort of hobby and side derailing thing to academics, and what it really does is open up the other side of your brain and the other side of your thinking, and it helps you think critically.
The 7 intelligentsias
Yeah.
are connected to the arts.
That's right.
And the aesthetics that it proposes, and I don't know why they take the arts out of the schools.
Yeah, I think
because
they
it's so
undervalue it.
connected.
Yeah, I don't think that they understand how it's connected. Art seems like a fun hobby, and I think when it's fun and kids enjoy it, it's like, oh, well then
That can't be right.
That can't be right. That must be a game, But they can actually enjoy something that's educational and helps to strengthen their academic mind.
So after you left Highland Park, did you move to New York?
I did. I moved to New York. I actually moved to New York in 2001, right after 9/11 happened. So I was actually slated to move with my roommate on September 14th. And then September 11th happened. And I remember we were at home when that happened and shocked. And so, of course, we had to move our plans back. But a month later, we said, look, I've saved all my money. I know that New York is in the state that it's in right now, and it's, everybody's terrified of it, but we made this plan, and we're going to continue to move there. And so I moved there in October 2001, and I got to know New York. I'm familiar with the post 9/11 New York, which is different than most New Yorkers, but I have seen it sort of like become a phoenix and rise from the ashes again,
Absolutely.
literally.
Absolutely. So when you went to New York, did you get involved with labs and everything? What did you do?
Yeah, I did.
Because it can be kind of overwhelming sometimes for some people.
It can be, but it can be overwhelming, but it can also be. New York, the thing about it is there's a place for everybody there. There's
Absolutely.
a place for everybody of any interest, of any, you're never really an outcast there because there's a community for you there. And for me, when I first started out there, I worked a gazillion jobs. I ended up my second year out there landing a job at an educational theater company, and I've pretty much worked with that company for like the majority of my time in New York for like about 8 years. Now I still kind of freelance with them, and it's been 10 years now.
Were you still writing?
Yes, I was still, well, the theater company allows us to, we were going into the high schools, into elementary schools, and into the jails, and we were doing social justice theater, so I spent a lot of time in high schools working with HIV and AIDS education, so we would perform for the students and invest them in the issue of HIV, and then we would talk to them about protecting themselves and getting tested and that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that kind of work for years.
So tell me about Detroit 67. How did you get it? What made you decide to write it, and how did you get it mounted?
So about a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 now, I joined a company in New York. There's a writers residency called the Emerging Writers Group at the Public Theater in New York, which is like one of the premier, if not the premier, off-Broadway theater in New York,
Yes.
right? And they have a program that allows them to have access to writers they may not normally get access to, because maybe those writers aren't already big stars and those writers may not have agents yet or things like that. So they open us up to submit. Anybody can submit to them. They get about 800, 900 submissions every year, and I submitted to that, and they accept about 11 people into their program every 2 years now, and so I submitted my work to that program and got in, and they wanted us to start a new idea for a play that we were going to be writing, and I said, I want to work on something about my hometown. And there's a precursor to that, which is I was reading August Wilson's 10-play cycle on Pittsburgh. And I said, he's writing 10 plays about Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
And I love his
always
voice.
debuted them in Pittsburgh,
He always
too.
debuted them in Pittsburgh. And I said, that when I was reading them, his voice and what that meant, particularly to black men, actually, when I was reading his writing, I said, wow, how he captures them. He captures the jazz of the way they speak. And then it's about Pittsburgh, so they must feel, people from Pittsburgh must be really affirmed when they read his work or see his work. And I want to affirm the people where I'm from. I want to write something like that for my folks, And so that's what started me wanting to write plays about Detroit. So I'm writing a 3-play cycle about Detroit in 3 different time periods, and Detroit 67 was the first one I wanted to work on.
Why don't you tell us, our audience, what that was about?
Detroit 67?
Yes, we know the backdrop is the riot.
Yeah, and it is literally that. The play is the backdrop is the riots, but the play is about a brother and a sister who are running an after-hours joint in their basement. They're running a blind pig out of their basement, and they're sort of like they're at odds about the future of the family business because their parents have passed on. They've taken over their parents' home. The brother wants to get a bar, and the sister's sort of against it, so they're having like age and generational dispute in their family, and then a mysterious woman ends up coming into their lives, and when she enters their lives, it sort of creates more of a rift between the brother and the sister, but also at the same time the city is starting to come undone and explode, and so those things are infiltrating their home structure, and it's sort of how they navigate that at this changing time in their lives.
Well, you received rave reviews, and it's so funny. I have to tell you this. I had read about it because I read the Times and everything, and Alex hadn't mentioned you to me. And I said, Mauricio, I know some Mauricios. And I started reading it, and I said, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And you got rave reviews. So you just came from South Africa, right?
Yeah, I did.
Were they doing the play over there?
They were doing a different play that I wrote over in South Africa, which
Prolific.
is about something else, But yeah, I think that some people, I think people have different ideas about what Detroit is supposed to be, in their minds, and the media, doesn't paint us with the fullest and most thorough picture,
Absolutely.
And so for me, I think one of my interests is in really contributing something different to the narrative that we're hearing about Detroit. What I know about Detroit is not what most people who are writing about Detroit know about it, because a lot of people are writing about it that haven't been here, that don't know anyone from Detroit. They're putting a lot of things on top of it, and I think for me it's about the people and the humanity that I have experienced here.
Well,
that's what I write.
The $1,000,000 question, will we ever get an opportunity to see Detroit 67?
Hey, look, I want this play to come to Detroit. I need some help, I'm not able to do it on my own.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. That's something we could talk about.
That's
okay?
great. That's great.
Let's talk about it.
That's
you never
great.
know. So, Dominique, what's next?
Well, Detroit 67 is going to Chicago. People can purchase a copy of the book on Amazon.com. You know, I'm getting the plays published. You know, I have a couple of other plays that are published, and you can find them on Amazon.com if you look up my name. But next is I'm working on more plays about Detroit, so there's others coming. You know, I'm right now I'm in development. I've written one about Paradise Valley, so I'm going to be working with people about that in New York soon, and then hopefully I'll be able to get that moving around and get that to Detroit.
Yes.
I want my work to, I mean, it's almost a sin, I think, for it to be other places and not be able to
Not be
in the
here.
place where it, you know, where I
We
originate.
need to talk about that,
Yeah,
seriously.
I
We
think
really need
we're
to
gonna
talk
talk
about
about
it.
that.
Well, I just wanted to tell everyone that tonight, Dominique is receiving an award for Emerging Leader Award from the U of M Center
Yeah,
here in Detroit.
that's right.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great. You know, I feel a responsibility. Really, I think that I was teaching students yesterday that are in the summer camp there, and I was telling them, you know, I'm from your city, and I'm doing things outside of our city, but I'm still from our city, and you should feel like you have access to me. You should feel like whatever you want to do is possible, and that you have branches all over this country and world, and that you can make this stuff happen in Detroit, and you can use resources from everywhere to get
So
it
how
done.
long are you going to be here?
I'll be here until, well, I'm actually leaving tomorrow for a minute. I'll be back on Sunday, and then I leave out Monday. So
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Well, I
I've
have
been
your
jet
number.
setting a lot,
I
you
know,
But
I
you do,
know.
you have my number.
I have your number, and I'm going to make sure I don't know why I don't have the play already, but
Yeah.
everybody, I introduce her to you, and you're going to be hearing so much more about Dominique. I am so excited to finally meet you.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, someone after my own heart.
Yeah.
And tonight, I'm going to try and see you tonight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
They're gonna do
definitely.
it's open to the public tonight, and they're gonna do an excerpt from Detroit 67 at the U of M Center.
At the U of M Center
Detroit
on
Center.
Woodward near Mac.
That's
On Woodward near Mac.
right next to
So-
Orchestra Hall is where it is.
Oh, it's going to be
Yeah, it's
on
closer.
that side
It's
of the
on that
street?
side. Mhm.
Oh, it sure is, because
Yeah.
Michigan State is on the other side down the street.
Yeah, I know they're all
Sorry.
kind of down there.
So
Yeah.
everybody, Dominique Mariso, Dominique, thank you so much
Thank
for coming,
you.
and I want you to stay tuned for our next guest, Ms. Tanisha Johnson. Good morning again, and welcome again to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33. How many of you feel you have a story in you or a novel in you and you want to write a book? Well, a lot of people have been writing books and just getting them published, and they forgot the middleman or middlewoman in this case. Everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Tanisha Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You are someone who everybody who is interested in doing a novel or a series of short stories or a technical writing book, whatever, should know, because you are an editor.
I am. I am by trade and by love and everything. It's my passion. It's my hobby. It's my job.
Well, Tanisha, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Chicago, and then I moved to Detroit when I was about 8 or 9.
Oh, really? So where'd you graduate from high school?
I graduated from Communication and Media Arts, actually.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, so-
Now, what made you get so interested in writing?
It was actually Communication and Media Arts. So I was on, the journalism program there and the school newspaper, the newsletter and things like that. And then I went to the University of Missouri, Columbia, to study journalism. So from there,
Wow,
it's
that's a good school.
absolutely. So from there, it's just been, a profession, a hobby, and a passion.
And it's important. Tell everyone what a book editor or an editor does.
So let's just start with the fact that a lot of people want to write a book, but not everybody knows the process. So an editor is your first person who will read your book. Let's just start there.
Or should be.
Or should be, ideally. This is your person who's going to catch your spelling, your grammatical, your punctuation. If they're a good editor, your sentence structure, your slang, things that you don't necessarily want in the book. But this is a vital step. This is a vital step. If you're putting a book out, your credibility is on the line once your book is out.
Because your book represents you
Absolutely.
to the public.
Absolutely. And if you have a publisher, it represents that publisher as well. So it's not just you.
And a lot of times people don't really they look at what they've written, but a lot of times people write like they speak.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes.
They
Absolutely.
do. And
Absolutely.
what do you find when people write with how they speak or how they talk?
Wow. I do. Let me just say, I do a lot of books for pastors. So I get a lot of, let the church say amen and hallelujah. And
In the book?
In the book. In the book. So I think when we write, we need to realize that there's a reading audience. There's not, a visible audience in front of us. And if it was something that we perform, say, in a play or at church in a sermon, that we kind of need to rework that when we go to the book form.
Absolutely. So what are some of the most glaring errors that you see? I mean, let's break it down till it's broke. What are some of the most glaring errors you see? Because people send books to me to read. I don't know why, but they send them to me to read.
Absolutely.
And what are some of the most glaring errors that you see?
The most glaring errors, believe it or not, are missing periods off of sentences. Absolutely. People miss periods all the time. Punctuation, improper punctuation. So there are people who go what I call comma crazy. They just want to put commas everywhere, using them improperly. A lot of the words that confuse you, there, and the different spellings, and
yeah.
two and two, just things that spell check won't necessarily catch, but that you really need a human being looking at to say, this is the wrong word. This is the right word, but it's used in the wrong way.
Okay, so you find a lot of grammatical errors. What about errors in structure, like putting something at the beginning that should be later on in the... Oh, we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Brenda. How are you?
Fine. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Clyde.
Hi, Clyde. How are you?
I'm good. Good end of the week to you. And
Could you
your guest.
speak a little louder, hon?
I'm sorry. I was just stating I wanted to wish you and your guests a good end of the week.
Thank
But
you.
My
Thank you.
question towards the young lady is, how long have you... I'm just coming in at the 9:30 hour, so I'm catching your show, which you always have a fantastic show. How long have you been editing, and do you contract out your services? And if so, I may be interested in talking with you about a book project that I'm currently working on.
Okay, so how long have you been editing? Do you contract your work out and everything, because he may be interested?
Oh, okay.
Is that correct, Clyde?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've been editing now a little over 15 years, and I do contract my services out. So you can contact me. My website is www.soitiswritten.net, or you can contact Brenda Perryman, and she'll put you in contact with me.
Right. And you do have an email address, right?
An email address, right. So you can email me also at info@soitiswritten.net.
info@soitiswritten.net. And
Right.
if you have a story and if you really want to get it out, because what happens, Clyde, and Tanisha knows this, that somebody will give you a book party, and you will have your family and friends there, and they'll be at your book party, and sometimes you'll read parts of your book, and everyone gets excited to read it, and then they get the book, and they say, oh my goodness, I can't get through this.
Right. Absolutely.
And you need a person like Tanisha.
Oh, I agree. And because my book, I'll share with you, ladies.
Could you
it's gonna be
speak
on
just a
the
little
subject-
louder, Clyde, please?
Pardon?
Could you speak a little louder?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. Normally I have a big mouth, don't I?
I know. I'm
I
stunned.
apologize.
I'll see you
My
again.
book
I'll
will be
see you
of
at
a-
1
of a
p.m. today. We
technical
have the men
nature,
on
and that's
Table
gonna be
Talk.
a book on economics, and I'm gearing it towards our community. So I very much, may be interested in talking with you more in detail about that. I'm just about there. So I do agree, Brendan, that you always need those outside eyes to take a look at it. I was taught that in accounting. I have an accounting background, so you always have somebody to double check your work just to make sure the numbers, or in this case, the letters, are matching up. But I'll listen off there. Great show. Thank you so much for that information, ladies.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
All right.
Now, we were talking earlier, I had said that structure, like something that should belong at maybe in the middle. Some
Absolutely.
people put at the end. Do you catch those types of things?
Absolutely. I do a little bit of what I call reorganization.
Oh, that's
so,
good.
So more so in fiction, more than nonfiction. A lot of my nonfiction authors are either writing from the standpoint of something that happened in their life, so they're writing in chronological order anyway, or they're writing from a standpoint where the order doesn't really matter. Or books of poetry. So books of poetry aren't necessarily organized by any type of subject matter unless you have 20 poems on marriage, 20 poems on, family,
Right.
things like that. So a lot of times you'll have someone who's, giving away the main story in the beginning,
And
as
the
opposed
ending.
to
No, I'm just-
and the ending
Really? You
in
have
the
them?
beginning, right? And it's like, okay, we'll save that, or it's not enough suspense in the beginning. In the beginning, in the fiction book, you really want to create that you have to grab the audience,
because you want the audience to go on and
Right.
continue to read,
right?
right?
And let me just be perfectly honest. I'm a reader as well, and for me, many books unfortunately don't captivate me. If you don't catch me in the first chapter, I put it down and it goes on my shelf. So that's a big challenge for most authors, to keep you reading through the entire book. So
Big challenge.
Big
challenge.
challenge.
So a lot of people say they have a book in them. They have a story in them.
Mm-hmm.
What would you, okay, I'm a person, say for example, I have a story in me. What should be the first thing I do as far as, okay, I'm going to write this book? What should be the first thing I do?
Brenda, I think a lot of people get very frustrated when they sit down to write because I don't know where to start. But if you go back to school, and you can probably relate to this, our teachers always told us to start with an outline. It's the simple stuff.
That's what I tell people all the time.
All the time. Start with an
Outline it.
outline. And I mean, there are people who just don't want to do the work. They want to skip the process and just start writing, and then your book is all over the place. I'm coaching a young lady right now. The first thing we did was an outline. So we know the names of her chapters. We know the subjects of her chapters so that we stay on task when we meet. We're not wasting time. And her book is almost done, and we've only been working together maybe 3 months.
That's wonderful.
So the outline makes all the difference.
So you also can help a person who has this book in their heart and mind. You can help them get started
Absolutely.
and stay focused.
Stay focused.
That's one
Absolutely.
of the hardest things
That's
too.
the hardest thing to do. Yeah, yeah. And if you listen to any people in the industry, some people will tell you, look, try and write 30 minutes a day. Don't sit down and try and write the whole book in a weekend. And I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people who can do it. There are people who can write a book in a weekend. They take retreats and writing retreats and everything like that, and they get it done. But that doesn't work for everybody. So try and work on your project, as you go, at least 30 minutes a day.
I always suggest to people that after you've written this chapter or whatever, read it out loud.
Read it out loud.
A lot of times when you read it out loud, you say, oh God, I forgot this word, I forgot this.
Exactly. Yes.
That helps too,
Yes.
to read it out loud and sometimes record yourself reading it
Absolutely.
out loud.
Absolutely.
And say, does this sound right? But then if somebody doesn't have some mastery of the English language, it might sound right to them.
It might sound right to them, unfortunately. But most times, if you're reading your work out loud and you're reading the paper, you'll look and see, oh, I left out the word a or the. I mean, it's the small things that I find are missing.
And anybody could do that.
Anybody.
Anybody
Absolutely.
could do that.
Absolutely.
Anybody could leave something out, even the best.
Even the best. I do it. I have an editor, and I'm a professional editor. Before my books, I hire another editor. I don't edit my own work.
Right. I think that, and so many people are writing books now. Do you
So
notice?
many people.
Why do you think that is?
Everybody has a story, Brenda. I mean, a pastor, a wife, a child. I mean, everybody
Do
is
you
writing books.
find that a lot of the stories kind of fall within the same category? I mean,
The ones that I get due, a lot of them are inspirational. Kind of like, this is my story, this is what I've been through, and this is how I got out of it. So,
and here's the lesson.
and here's the lesson.
Here's the
Well,
lesson.
and some people don't even give you the lesson, unfortunately. So that's another issue from an editor's standpoint. When I give feedback, I tell people, at the end of the day, what do you want a person to walk away from after they've read your book? What's the takeaway?
Right.
I don't want to just hear your story. That's great. You have an awesome story, but what's in it for me? I paid $15.99 for this book. What did I get?
Right. Well, Clyde was mentioning he's doing a book on economics for the black community.
Absolutely.
So he'll have to really be able to relay this and the importance of black people understanding
Absolutely.
economics. And so,
And relay it in a way that they will understand it. You can't
Absolutely.
be over
Thank
the reader's head, you know.
I read some books where people, because they have this vast knowledge of the law or business, they write over people's heads.
Exactly.
And the books don't go anywhere.
They don't go anywhere.
Because you want to break it down till it's broke. I mean, you don't want to remedialize it.
No.
But you want to
You want the reader to be able to relate,
meet the, yes.
and you want to
yes.
meet the need. So,
Right.
you know, and you have to know who your target audience is. So you have to write to that audience.
To that audience, right. Like you say, a lot of people are writing inspirational
Absolutely.
books and everything. And one of the friends of the show, you've done her book, Tammy Turner.
Yay, Tammy. Today is Tammy's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Tammy.
Tammy. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Tammy.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
And Venus Mason Theus.
It's
You
her
done book?
birthday?
No, I've done her book.
Oh, I know you did. I was going to say, Venus,
No.
another friend of the show. Hi,
Absolutely.
Venus.
Absolutely.
It's she's wonderful.
She is. She's wonderful, yeah.
And she talked about the value of an editor also, but I've been wanting to get you on the show for months and months and months because of what I see. Even when I go and I pick up a book in a store that is sometimes self-published, I say, oh my God. Even it's not even just the way the writing is, it's not even justified on the page.
Right.
It's like they sent it to someone just to print it.
Right. Or they've uploaded it, you know, to some weird website and just got copies in the mail. And unfortunately, that's the downfall of self-publishing. If you don't have somebody, if you're not familiar with the process, you almost need somebody holding your hand as you go through it to make sure that it's a success. You know, because otherwise you're putting something out there and now it's on the shelves. People know your name. And Brenda, if you publish a book, you may put your wonderful picture on it. So now I know your face, I know your name. And if you do 5 more books, guess what? I'm not buying them because the first one I couldn't get through with all the spelling and grammatical errors.
Let me tell you what happened a few weeks ago. Let me just say this. A few weeks ago, Ann Simpowski, she was head of the Total You Tour back 12 years ago, and someone brought my book, a lady, Caucasian lady. She bought the book. Well, she wrote Ann like 3 weeks ago telling Ann how much I pulled Brenda Perryman's book out. I enjoy it so much.
Oh, wow.
I was like stunned.
Wow.
I fell out. I said,
That's
goodness. Goodness, but it was about a lot of different things. It's a book of poetry, but to know that somebody is still relating to it
That's right.
after all this
Absolutely.
time and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
And
That-
Brenda, I can tell you on the opposite side of that, I was on Amazon and I got ready to buy a book. And unfortunately, the very first review that came up was, this person has a great storyline, but I couldn't finish the book because of all the grammatical and spelling errors. So for me, I didn't buy the book because I'm the same type of person. If I'm reading and I can't jump over grammatical and spelling errors, I put it down.
Well, it would drive me crazy, so it would drive me crazy.
Absolutely.
So once again, so it is written.
So it is written, yes, ma'am.
If you want to email Tanisha. Oh, we have a caller on the line. A quick call because we have another guest. Good morning. Hello? Hello? Oh, I don't know what happened.
They can email me.
You could email her at info@soitiswritten.net. And her website is www.soitiswritten.net. And one day we're going to have a writing show on. I'm going to get her and Venus. And
Absolutely.
We're going to
Let's do
talk.
it.
We're just going to get down and talk about it
Let's
because
do it.
I know that a lot of my viewers have a story. So, Tanisha, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank
You are so knowledgeable. So much we can say. But before you publish your book,
Absolutely.
please see an editor.
Please.
And this is a great one right there. She
Thank
is
you.
great. So we'll be back in just a moment with Ryan Johnson Myers, Ryan Myers Johnson. I knew her as Ryan Myers, and Dennis Johnson. I have two Johnsons
Two
on the
Johnsons.
show. Wow, that is something. So we'll be back very shortly. Again, hi, Henry Tyler. Hi, hi, everybody. Welcome once again to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33, WHBR, and Comcast 20 in Detroit. I'd like to introduce my very special guest, a very special friend, Mrs. Ryan Myers Johnson. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. How are you?
And get up to the mic and speak. She has the softest, most beautiful voice, but Ryan is an artist to the maximum. And she's a dancer, she's a choreographer, she's a filmmaker, and right now she is promoting something that is totally needed in our community. And why don't you tell us about it? First, you graduated from Cass also, didn't you?
Actually, I graduated from the Detroit School of Arts.
This Detroit School of Arts, everybody down Woodward, everybody there,
Yeah.
and everything. But Ryan is very prolific, and the things she could do with her body when she dances, oh gosh, amazing.
Thank you.
So, Ryan, didn't you spend some time in New York? Didn't you spend some time in New York?
Yeah, actually, after university, I went to University of Michigan for dance and film. After that, I moved to New York just to sort of be a muse for other choreographers and filmmakers.
Okay, I see. And so you came back to Detroit, and then what?
So I moved back to Detroit about 5-6 years ago to make a film, actually, and that's where we met.
Yes.
So I made a film called Chase and Mellow, which basically explored the lives of young artists in Detroit who, rather than being intimidated by the landscape of Detroit, sort of used some of our urban architecture and some of the ruins to create art.
Wow, it was such a good experience and good film and everything, and I was pleased to have a small role in it, and I thank you. And then we met up again on another film.
Yeah, I worked for a while in the film scene in Detroit. I worked on a film as the second assistant director, Detroit Unleaded.
Yes.
Which has been playing all over the country.
And all over the world.
All over the world.
It's been getting a lot of play.
Yeah, a lot of press. Yeah, it was awesome.
So, Ryan, this is the Sidewalk Festival for the Performing Arts. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so Sidewalk Festival of Performing Arts is a festival that I'm producing. It's a celebration of performance art in Detroit. So basically we're bringing dance, music, theater, pop-up performances, installation art, all to Artist Village, which is on the northwest side of Detroit in the neighborhood of Brightmoor.
Okay, would you tell everybody, like I know where Artist Village is, but tell people specifically in Detroit what the major street is.
Yeah, so Artist Village is this great community hub on Lasser between Grand River and Orchard. It's a collection of courtyards, community gardens, sculptures. We're actually redoing one of the alleys on Lasser and recreating it as an art alley. So in that alley, we'll be putting some installation art, some interactive wearable art called the Parangoles Playhouse. One of the artists is producing that. We'll also have poetry. Jessica Camera will be setting site-specific poetry there. We'll also have dance. So we're bringing over 30 artists from all over Detroit with some special guests from Chicago and New York to create work about the city of Detroit and to celebrate performance here.
Amazing. So if I come to the festival, and it's on August 3rd, it's just a few weeks away, what would I just go to these specific places, or just the art's going to come out at me, or?
So there's going to be a little bit of both. What makes Sidewalk unique is that we don't use any traditional stages. So all of the performances take place in courtyards, in gardens, in the art alley, in storefronts, on sidewalks. So we do have a certain amount of places that For example, we have the Blue Dance Court. So you can go to that place specifically where we'll be presenting about 10 dance companies who are all presenting work, who are all making work in Detroit. So we have Heritage Works doing West African and hip
Do you
hop.
hear that, everybody?
Yeah, so
West African hip hop and
hip
what
hop, modern. We also have Lamaran dancers who will be doing experimental jazz with live jazz musicians. We've got Jungle Statement, which is a piece that I'm making, which is an interpretation of the works of Nina Simone and Charles Mingus.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so it's going to be,
Oh, wow.
that's something that you can come to specifically. Then there's also, vending, you can get food. We're right across the street from Sweet Potato Sensations,
Right.
so grab some good sweet potato pie, and there might be some pop-up Shakespeare that comes out at you.
Well, will you be utilizing the old Redford Theater that's up there?
We actually won't be doing the Old Redford Theater. The reason is because Sidewalk is about being on the streets.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the way people used to perform arts back in the show enough day.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Actors and they used to do plays right out on the sidewalk.
Yeah, so that's the idea. We want to bring arts to a ground level. Detroit is experiencing this great artistic renaissance right now, and it's largely centered around the Midtown area, and that's awesome. I work downtown, so I'm always there, but we want to spread some of this artistic wealth to a lot of the neighborhoods and also highlight what's happening. So there's a lot of artwork happening in Brightmoor, in Old Redford, and we want to celebrate that as well and really bring modern performance to a very accessible ground level for Detroiters.
Wow, that's excellent. Do you need any more artists, or you have all the artists you need?
Actually, we are bursting at the seams with artists.
Okay.
That was the least challenging part, was getting artists, because there are so many artists in Detroit.
And what do you find about the quality of artists in Detroit?
I mean, there's a range, to be honest, but like all of the artists that we have, that we're presenting at Sidewalk, they're the best of the best. Some of them have toured internationally.
And Jessica Care Moore has, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've got Sean Blackman's band. They've also toured internationally doing world jazz music. So we've
You have
got
Sky Covington.
Yeah, we have Sky Covington, who will also be working with Jungle Statement to do some interpretation of Nina Simone songs. So it's world class. I mean, you can't beat it.
Wow,
the talent that's here in
this is
Detroit.
going to be wonderful, and people can park, bring their families and everything, and it's 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., right?
Yeah, so it's a full day. We have at least 3 stages that will be activating all day. So yeah, so whether you're going to the art alley to participate in some of the interactive art there, or whether you're going to the Temple of Dreams to hear music, or the Blue Court to see dance, there's something to do from 3 to 9, literally every moment.
Well, did the city cooperate with you? Well,
yeah, we're still working some things out with the city, but definitely we have the support. We've been getting a lot of support from City Councilman Tate's office in regards to, some of the more technical things. And then there are a number of foundations that support Sidewalk. We've gotten a lot of support from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. We're also supported by the Brightmoor Alliance, Motor City Blightbusters, Slowe's Barbecue, Detroit Creative Corridor Center. So there are a lot of people who came together to make this happen.
you know what makes this so exciting is the fact that it's not happening in Midtown. I hate to say that, but we have more to this city than Midtown and downtown. We have so much more to it.
Right.
And the west side, and then we have the east side,
Yeah.
you know, things popping up. And that community there west is a great community.
It's amazing.
And the fact that people can come, we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Hello?
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 Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, my name is Lamont. I want to ask her, how can I sign up, because I'm a hip-hop artist.
Well, I think...
So this year, because we are so close to the festival, we're actually full up. However, we have been thinking about opening up the mic for some, for some freestyle, for some cypher, while some of the other bands are getting set up. So if you come on August 3rd, look at the schedule on the Sidewalk website and we have some hip hop artists performing, Coldman Young, Pasalacqua, and we may have an opportunity to invite some more hip hop artists to come up and just do a little freestyle. But yeah, we're just 2-3 weeks out, so we really are packed with
I'd
artists. But
advise you.
thanks.
What's your name?
Lamont.
Lamont. I'd advise you to come and look at.
I do like party songs.
Really?
Yes. and then I want to tell Dr. Broad I say hi too. You know, I'll be detailing cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like to come out there, you know, to show my little talent there.
Well, like she said, during the change of bands and everything, you know, there's downtime, and a lot of times they like people to get up and keep the audience there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely come out on August 3rd, and you know, if there's a moment to do some freestyling, that would be really interesting.
I'm gonna jump on the bus. I'm gonna come on down there.
Awesome.
And introduce yourself.
Yes, I am.
Introduce yourself.
Find me. I'll be there everywhere.
You know what? You have a blessed day. All y'all have a blessed, beautiful day.
Okay, thank you so much, Lamont. That's Lasser near Grand River.
Okay, I'm writing it down now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
On the August 3rd, 3 to 9 p.m.
Yes, and you can go to the website. It's www.sidewalkdetroit.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. So, you know, hit us up on Facebook if you want like the most up-to-date news.
And what is that Facebook page name?
It's sidewalkdetroit.com. So you should go like facebook.com/sidewalkdetroit. But if you go to our website, you can just
go to any library every day.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can like the
okay.
page and join our mailing list. There's lots of ways to stay in contact with us. So
Well, thank you, Lamont.
Okay, thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.
thank you.
And thank you this morning.
Thank
This
you.
morning. I have like a little special announcement I need to make before we sign off. And that announcement is our deepest sympathies here at the station go to one of my co-hosts of Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. That's Dr. Rose Moten, who lost her mom this past week. She lost her mom. And our deepest sympathy go to Rose. She's a wonderful woman. Miss Eliza Moten had 4 children, and she was a wonderful woman. I got a chance to meet her, and we all here at the station with R.J. Watkins and Henry Tyler, we send out our deepest condolences and our deepest sympathies. And we're very sorry, Rose, because to lose a mother, especially a loving mother, is a difficult cross to bear. But her memories will live on because she really left a legacy. She left wonderful children and grandchildren, a lot of grandchildren. So here at the station, we send our sympathies. Also, I invite you to join us at 1 o'clock today for Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. I have the men on today. I have Ken Coleman, Robert E. Thomas, and Mr. Chris Summerall. So we'll see you again at 1 o'clock. And also, I'll see you next week for another installment of the Brenda Perryman Show. Talk to me. And Ryan, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Be there or be